It's been a struggle, but I've come down to the decision. You know what? This is truly about faith for me. You are listening to Saints in the South. All right, welcome everyone. This is season 2, episode 88. We are Saints in the South, representing saints everywhere, and we are your source for gospel growth and good times. Whether you are watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave us a review and a rating. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Saints in the South. And you can also check us out at saintsinthesouth.com. This week's episode, we are in sections 102 through 105, and the title of it is After Much Tribulation Cometh the Blessing. And the saints are seeing some tribulations.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, they're absolutely seeing it.
The amazing thing to me is that even though all this persecutions and everything is going on, and they're having to deal with this and being displaced from their homes and community and everything, the work of the Lord is still moving forward.
Yeah.
For example, section 102, the church continues to grow. It continues to become more of a worldwide church as they are. Have they sent anybody overseas yet?
Overseas?
Probably not yet.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
where's Andrew?
Yeah. It's not a big deal, but anyway, the church is continuing to grow. And when you have, as an organization grows, the greater opportunity for issues, challenges, problems to arise. And so the greater need for administration, right? And so in section 102, not going to really get into a whole lot of detail, but the Lord establishes the importance and significance of councils.
Right.
Elder M. Russell Ballard.
Yeah.
The purpose, why are councils held in the church with transgressors? Number 1, to save the soul.
Yeah.
Number 2, to protect the innocent. And number 3, to safeguard the church's purity and good name.
And its image, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
And its image, that's right. Yep.
That's exactly right.
Very good.
And it's interesting that this is here because you think, well, we're right in the middle of all these persecution things going on. And then, of course, Zion's camp's coming up. Why would the Lord insert this about councils? Because that's how things get done in the church. And a lot of things need to get done right now. Obviously there, and then there's individual things as we're talking about, there's individual matters,
So we are moving on into section 103. We are in February of 1834. Saints are supposed to be gone by springtime.
Yep.
But the locals aren't being patient.
Yeah.
They are doing their best to go ahead and get them out of there.
Yep.
Parley P. Pratt and Lyman Wright, they arrived from Jackson County, Missouri, to Kirtland to report to the prophet Joseph as far as what's going on. And so let me ask you this. How do you react when you're sitting here, you're having a conversation with your buddy, your wife, whoever, and they start telling you something where someone was ugly to them, said something inappropriate or something. Anyway, they weren't treated in the right way.
Right.
What do you tend to do?
Ready to fight.
You start, you start, that ain't right.
Exactly.
So
where's he at?
Let's go. Exactly. Yes. So I can see this happening.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Where everybody's, they're sitting around and they, kind of getting up in arms, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Joseph ends up receiving a revelation. I think he receives the revelation after they decide that they're going to head down there.
Right.
Now it takes some time to get ready and everything.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Joseph ends up receiving this revelation in section 103. So,
I mean, the Lord starts out with some pretty harsh language.
This is my natural side of me, but I can see them sitting around, right? So Joseph has received this revelation. He's reading it to them.
Right.
And as this revelation is being read to them, I can see him saying, yeah, we're going to get them.
That's what I'm wanting to hear.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Verse 2, being driven and smitten by the hands of mine enemies, on whom I will pour out my wrath without measure in mine own time. But that's key, mine own time.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Right.
And then anyway, there's several verses like that. Verse 6, behold, they shall, for I have decreed it, begin to prevail against mine enemies from this very hour.
Yeah, and it says why he's doing this in verse 3. It says, for I've suffered them thus far that they might fill up the measure of their iniquities, that their cup might be full. In other words, full judgment can come upon them at this time.
Right.
They are using their agency to do some evil things. And we're talking about the mob people.
Yes.
So they're doing these things, and so the Lord's allowing it because guess what? Full judgment will come upon them,
right?
Because they went all the way with it. Their thoughts became actions, and now they're going with it. So,
So verse 11, I have decreed that your brethren which have been scattered shall return to the lands of their inheritances, and shall build up the waste places of Zion. So we're going to go back, and we're going to take our land back.
All in the Lord's time, though.
That's right.
It's like,
exactly.
All in the Lord's time.
So and there are several scriptures like that, but I can see the saints and the men sitting around and really kind of getting amped up about this.
Yeah.
For sure. So the Lord's about to pour out some vengeance upon these people. So again, verse 27, let no man be afraid to lay down his life for my sake, for whoso layeth down his life for my sake shall find it again. We've talked about this, last week, being willing to lay down your life.
That's right.
So, I mean, I can imagine, again, we're leading into this Zion's camp, or it was originally known as the Camp of Israel, and their march down to Jackson County there. I mean, these guys are ready to fight. I mean, they're ready to lay down their life. Now, some of them, as we'll find out, weren't as excited about, they were going, but they weren't as excited to be fighting and stuff. I think Nathan Baldwin was an individual that was inspired to come back to the to head back west, and he said in his journals and everything that he wasn't necessarily inclined to do that, but he was willing to do what was asked of him. And so forth. So,
but these things, the Lord's plans are sometimes frustrated, as we talked about before. Zion is to be built up. It will be. The Lord commanded it, and now He sort of relieved that command off of them as far as the temple being built and things, because of things that are going on, as we talked about last week with some of the reason why the saints were persecuted. Some of their transgressions got in the way, their slothfulness got in the way, some things. But Bruce R. McConkie did say this. I found a quote here. He says, there is no occasion for uncertainty or anxiety about the building up of Zion, meaning the New Jerusalem in the last days, because we know that it's going to be done. It's in Revelations.
Right.
It's the Lord still talks about it, today. There's things that prophets say. And anyway, the Lord once offered His people the chance to build Zion, from which the law shall go forth to all the world. They failed. Why? Because they were unprepared and unworthy. This is Bruce R. McConkie, so he can say this. as is yet the case with those of us now who comprise the kingdom. That's what he says. We're still unworthy, guys.
Right.
Bruce R.
We
McConkie
still got a long way to go.
We got some things to work on. When we as a people are prepared and worthy, the Lord will again command us, and the work will go forward on schedule before the second coming and at the direction of the president of the church. Until then, none of us need to take any steps towards gathering to Missouri or preparing for a landed inheritance there. Let us rather learn the great concepts involved and make ourselves worthy for any work the Lord may lay upon us in our day and time. Some things must yet precede the building up of Jackson County. So this was in 1985 that he said this, Bruce R. McConkie. So we think about these things, and the Lord's saying it here, that those things will be taken care of. Zion will be built. It will be redeemed. Right. It will be this and that and the other. As this was given to the saints back then, they thought, wow, a couple of weeks, we're fitting to head back.
Right.
We're fitting to get this thing done. Right. Well, here we are, Bruce R. McConkie, 1985, and now here we are, 2021, and still not really done yet. And it's because we're still not quite where we need to be yet. I'm sure we're closer today maybe than 1985
Hopefully.
or 1830.
Hopefully.
We should be.
So it's interesting that they were, in the scriptures there in section 102, first mentions that, to gather 500, then 403. And then anyway, they ended up gathering a little over 205 men and then 25 women and children.
Yeah.
To
section 103. You said 102.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. 103.
Yeah. Section 103.
But yeah.
That ends up going on the march down to,
how many did you say?
It was 205, and then 25 women and children.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So to me, as I read that, it really doesn't, with the Lord on your side, numbers aren't important.
Right.
I guess that's the way to put it. If the Lord be for us, who be against us?
Right.
Isn't that the thing?
And the plan is they're going down there Joseph's already been in contact with the governor. The governor has said, yes, we'll provide a militia for you to go back in and reclaim your land.
Yeah.
And then the militia will leave. And these 200 men of the saints will be left to help protect. Right.
Right.
Well, they get down there and it takes them about 45 days to get down there.
Yeah.
And they stop on the other side of, I don't know what river it is, but they're camped there. And of course, Fish River or something like that.
Fisher River.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But
we don't do any research.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
It's there.
But anyway, they're met with basically a strong warning.
Yeah.
Hey, night falls, we're coming after you.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Big storm.
Huge storm comes
out. Hailstorm, wind, rain, which ends up causing the river to rise.
They couldn't cross,
which prevents the mob again from crossing and everything, and they end up being protected that way.
So, and I'm pretty sure they huddled up in a little church building.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah, there's a little. Okay, so what is this? There's a film. There's a movie. Is it a movie or is it like a clip of Zion's camp? What is that called?
I don't know. I thought
what was that in? There is something with the church. I'm sure somebody could put that in the comments too, or whatever, to help us out there. But it shows that it depicts that in a thing. There was a little church, a little logged little room, probably not much bigger than what this room here is. I don't know how big it was. A little worship church, just sitting out there in that field. This place that they were at, and they all went inside that during the storm. So these men were all up inside this little building, packed in, which to me is just providential that little building was there, little church building. And that's when the storm hit. And, so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's neat. So they then find out that the governor is not going to send the militia to help support them and everything. And so Joseph ends up getting the next revelation. 105 is the following is when they're down there and they see that it's not going to work out to their advantage. Joseph and they also counsel. I think we mentioned the Zionist camp. They come together and they counsel about what to do.
Yeah. So in verse 15 of 103, behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. That's what's happening in Zion's camp. These people are becoming refined through the power of God so that they can have that power to be future leaders of the church and to do other amazing, extraordinary things. And that's how the redemption of Zion is going to happen. They're literally on a mission to redeem their lands and Zion. That was Zion to them, or it is Zion. Right. Their lands, their homes, their inheritances, or whatever, all their stuff there, and they're on a literal mission to redeem that, while in reality the Lord is redeeming Zion, meaning the people. Zion can be the people or a place. He's redeeming these people through this hardship, through this Abrahamic test. Honestly, is what it is. It's an Abrahamic test.
Yeah, I'm glad you.
And so the Zion's getting redeemed. They don't even know it. Right. And there's some in this group of this, they leave the church. They become apostates. They think Joseph Smith is a failed prophet. Oh, this didn't work out. I thought you said the Lord said do this. Anyway, they couldn't see the bigger picture. They weren't still and focused on the Lord.
Well, with that verse, about through the power, what verse was that?
15.
15.
In 103.
And he talks about it being how did that end?
Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power.
By power.
Yeah.
So they are envisioning a heavy fist.
Yeah.
That kind of power, right?
Yeah.
But like you said,
they're going to receive the power of God.
That's right.
To do some amazing things in the future. Zion, the place, is going to get redeemed.
Right. In his own time.
So think about this. I just thought of this. So think about this. There's two parts of us, right? We got a spirit and a body. Our bodies will be resurrected. There's nothing we need to do. It's going to happen. The Lord's taking care of it. He's already took care of it. But our spirits we need to work on some of that. The Lord's took care of that too, with the atonement, a lot of things, but we have to do our part to keep ourselves worthy, keep ourselves clean, continuously repent, continuously look upon the Lord. So there's two parts here. In a way, you got the land of Zion, which is like the body. And then you got the people, which are like the spirit. So the land Zion's already redeemed.
Right.
It's going to be redeemed. It's going to happen. The Lord's going to take care of that. He doesn't really need this group of men or a militia from, Missouri to take this back. It's his. It's consecrated.
Right.
The Lord, his prophets have prayed over it. It's done. That part's it's there. It's going to happen. These men don't understand that fully at this point. They think they have to go there and take it back by force, whatever, and they're willing to, and the Lord's going to bless them for that because they're willing to. We talked about that last week about standing up and doing. They did it, man. They put their feet to the ground and went to it. But so that's going to be redeemed. That's going to be taken care of. But yet the Lord now is saying, hey, through your trials and through your obedience and through your faithfulness, you're going to be redeemed also and given power. And that's what's happening to these men. So it's kind of like a body spirit type thing. Right.
And part of that preparation and of those men, because that trip, that 45-day trip was not an easy trip.
No, absolutely
they were lacking in food.
Some people died.
Water. Some people died.
Cholera broke out.
Cholera broke out. I think 13.
The Lord told them that scourge would come about. Prophet stood up on a wagon and told them, says there's a scourge coming.
Right.
If you keep, because there was some quarreling and some, why are they're thirsting to death, starving to death. There's a depiction in that movie where they're super thirsty. Their water went bad.
Right.
I think they had kegs of water or something on the thing. It went bad. It went sour, whatever they call it. And they were all arguing about, this and that. And Joseph Smith, this and that, and these leaders, and this can't be, the Lord's not with us. How, this and whatever. And I think it shows, it depicts, I don't know if this is an actual account. I'm sure it had to be something, but Joseph Smith just went among the men. He grabbed a shovel and walked off from them. And they were all kind of like, well, what's going on? And he went out in the middle of the field and just started digging. And as he dug down, I don't know how deep, but water started coming up out of the ground. And that's how they all got the water.
Very cool.
For the thing. Right. You got a real Moses type experience. It mentions Moses. He's a Moses that's leading these children of Israel.
That's right.
Leading them out of the land of Egypt. It's basically, Moses struck the rock to get water. Yeah. This is all these patterns, these things. And if they would be still and know God, they would see that. And a lot of great people that come out of this thing, future great leaders of church saw the power of God in the prophet Joseph Smith at this moment. And it cemented their faith they were done. It was like they were in it. However, it had an opposite effect on some others. It really turned them away because they thought, they couldn't see that. All they saw was Joseph
he's a man, drugged them down.
He's just a man that's just got crazy ideas.
And then he backed down. He cowered down and wasn't willing to follow through with what he's not a true prophet.
He must not believe in the Lord. He doesn't believe that the Lord can save us and this and that. So whatever. But it's Zion's camp, man. It's like one of the coolest stories of the church to me. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the story.
So I want to share something. And again, getting back to applying these scriptures, these situations to our lives. So, and I'll go ahead and share, one of the hardest things for me with the vaccination, right? So I'm not anti-vax.
Right.
Okay. However, I have not been jumping on the opportunity to get the vaccination,
right?
Just from some personal reasons. It doesn't come after. I'm not in that range. I don't have underlying conditions and things like that and so forth. And then you have the prophet of the Lord, my prophet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the man that he comes out and he sets the example in January,
right,
by getting the vaccination and encouraging everybody to do the same. And then in what was it, April or May?
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes out and urges members of the church to get it. And again, I've struggled, man. I've struggled, you know, so
it's okay to struggle. I mean,
I really have
really play it out.
I really have. And so
come to a conclusion.
So how do I apply this, you know, these things to me personally, you know, am I truly committed? I mean, this is truly would require an exercise of faith.
It does.
You know, again, I think the vaccine is good, but I don't think everybody needs to get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? However, I would like to report that I got the vaccine.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, here you go. There you go.
It's been a struggle, but I've come down to the decision. You know what? This is truly about faith for me. I'm 100%. Me getting vaccinated is 100%
right
on faith and trying my best to follow the prophet.
Yeah, exactly.
In the end, I believe he knows the best. He knows better than me. He knows more than me. He sees. He's a seer. He sees more than I do, and so this is a little mini Zion's camp for me.
Right. It
absolutely. It really is.
Yeah.
And trying to follow the prophet.
And look, I mean, you know, that's the Lord doesn't mind questions. He doesn't mind struggles that we have. But you know, as I look on this thing and I read things about this and about how I think one of the biggest things of people that don't want to get the vaccination is they're afraid that it will kill them or something in some way. I'm not saying that was your case. I'm just saying it. Some people I've heard, you know, saying we don't know what's in it. It could do this to me or that. Well, if it does, you're fine. I mean, I know I'm not throwing away your life. I'm not, you know, it sounds like we're saying it don't matter if you die. I'm just saying that if you're doing something that you believe the Lord's telling you to do and you die from it, you're going to be okay.
Right.
You're going to be able to stand there completely guiltless and unashamed because you're going to be like, the prophet of the Lord said that it was a good thing to do. And I did it. It killed me, but I'm completely fine. And so look, I'm talking about it lightly.
Right.
I know there's more than that, but you know what I'm saying. But that's the underlying thing.
I literally almost said those exact same words to myself and to my wife. I'm like, okay, I'm putting this is in the Lord's hands. This is if I die, if something happens, this is on you, Lord. This is on you, President Nelson.
And really, and that's a good point. That's a great point, because I can promise you with everything I've got that the prophet of the Lord does not put out official statements lightly. That is not something that he was just, you know, casually just sitting there going, hey, you know what, put this out on a tweet, that this right here, you know, just put this out there and see how it goes. It's not. I can promise you they have counseled and they have prayed, they have fasted, they have sat in the temple, they have done whatever. And if he feels like he can put it out as an official letter to all the members of the church to urge you to get a vaccination, it wasn't done lightly. And I can promise you that Jesus Christ would not have let him put that out if it was wrong to do. Right. It would have never made it out. The Lord's in charge. We got to remember that. And if his prophet puts out something like that, it's probably had something to do with the Lord too.
Yeah. My wife and I, we decided, we said, you know what, this is going to simply prepare us for the next situation that comes, because it's coming.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, it's coming, where it's going to be an even harder decision. But since we have taken that step, we're not going to have to try and skip that step to get to the next one.
Exactly.
Because it would be even harder.
It'd be even harder.
So
you got to work your way up. I'm telling you, bigger decisions are coming. More, what's the word? I hate using the word gray area or phrase gray area, because it's really shouldn't be a gray area. But it can be very difficult to understand what to do, and it's going to be more and more that way. That's when President Nelson said it's required to have the Holy Ghost with us, the Spirit with us in the last days. Look at, and I'm over exaggerating here. Look at 95% of the talks that are given here in the last few years is about how to recognize the Spirit, how to hear the voice of the Lord. Why are they pounding and just pouncing on this so much? It's because if we can't, we're not gonna make it. It's not gonna be good if we cannot make that connection to heaven and understand and receive revelation for our personal selves. I don't believe that it would have been right to just blindly follow things. I don't think the Lord requires us to blindly follow. I think that's what some people want to harp on too. Is like, oh, you just blindly follow whatever the prophet told you to jump off bridge, you jump off bridge. Maybe. I mean, I don't, because he is the prophet. If I die, then I'll be fine. But that don't mean I should just do it right away, immediately, without some thought process and maybe getting on my knees myself and finding out for myself. You guys went through all that. You're working it out. You're talking about it. Look here, you didn't take it and wipe it from your table.
Right.
Never, not even considering that. No, it takes some growing and learning, and some people just get it before others. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But you're absolutely right. There's bigger things coming. I can promise that. I feel it in my body that there are things coming that are that's going to outshine this. Do I get a vaccination? I mean, honestly, there's going to be some things, and not trying to scare or make people afraid or whatever.
We are living in the last days. We are. How far into the last days we are, we don't know.
It's interesting to me to look at the scriptures, talk about last days, things that, and you can play in your mind. How many people, raise of hands, I'd like to see your hands. How many people thought that one of the things we would have to deal with was this pandemic? I mean, I would have thought, tornadoes, floods are going to, there's going to be hailstorms that's going to destroy our homes. Those things might still happen. I hope not. But what I'm getting to, those are the things I play in my mind when I read scriptures and think about how hard it's going to be the last days and natural disasters and this, and things are happening like that for a lot of people. But I was thinking of that, I never thought of a pandemic. Well, that was out of left field. It was like, whoa, wait, what? And then vaccinations and political process comes in, and confusion and media, and things are happening. And whoa, this is a little bit bigger than just whether or not I need to, put a new roof on my house. This is pretty big. And so a little bit more complicated, I guess, is what I'm getting to. A little bit more complex, and more complex issues requires more power to get through. It's just how it works.
Right. Well, speaking of that, in the last section here, section 105, verse 33, says, verily I say unto you, and this is the Lord explaining to them why they're not going to continue with what the original plan is. Verily I say unto you, it is expedient in me that the first elders of my church should receive their endowment from on high in my house, which I have commanded to be built unto my name in the land of Kirtland. So here they've got clear direction now. The temple, the first temple that is to be built, will be in Kirtland, so that they can be endowed with power. And it specifically mentions the first elders, but also, from there, members of the church and everything. And then verse 35, we've heard the saying, and we'll see it in the next episode, probably, about many are called, but few are chosen.
Yeah.
Verse 35, there has been a day of calling, but the time has come for a day of choosing, and let those be chosen that are worthy. And that's what happened there at with the Zion's camp. You had there were all of those individuals that were there were called, but not all of them were chosen, and it was because of the choices that they made, not to follow the prophet to the best of their ability. So
one thing, just for a last thought of mine of all these sections, one thing that really stood out to me was in 103, 27, 28, says, let no man be afraid to lay down his life for my sake, for whoso layeth down his life for my sake shall find it again. And whoso is not willing to lay down his life for my sake is not my disciple. So here's the thing, that one of my favorite quotes, James E. Faust, one of my all-time favorite people. He said this. He said, true followers of the Savior should be prepared to lay down their lives, and some have been privileged to do so. That's pretty cool. And then he says, for most of us, however, what is required is not to die for the church, but to live for it. For many, living a Christ-like life every day may be even more difficult than laying down one's life.
That's strong. That's powerful.
That's powerful right there. And it's true. Especially here in the last days. Honestly, it'd be easier to die. It's when you talk about life and death, I don't speak of it lightly. It comes out lightly. It comes out very lightly because it's how do you place it? I don't know. But you know, it can be tough. It can be tough to live the gospel. I think that's what makes the church honestly so great, is it is a church of sacrifice. It's right. If it's not, we're not going to learn anything. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to grow. It's got to be hard. It's got to be difficult. If it's not, we're not learning. We're not growing. We're not understanding better. We're not becoming something more. Working out every day. How do you gain muscle mass or change your body if you don't do anything? There's right here, you can see the difference. But you know what I'm saying though? It's just that simple. It really is that simple. You've got to have some kind of resistance against yourself to build yourself up. So yeah, the church is hard. The church is very difficult to live. It's hard to live the gospel every day. There's a lot that's required of us. Many are called, few are chosen. That's where that is.
Everybody would do it.
Absolutely.
We hope everybody will do it.
And you know, we're getting in the last days. There's some things coming. I'm not a prophet, but I can feel it. I think there's things coming, and honestly, I think we're on the cusp of some big things. Right. And
wow,
gotta be ready. We got to be ready.
Yeah. Well, I'll end with this also from section 103, verse 36. All victory and glory is brought to pass unto you through your diligence, faithfulness, and prayers of faith. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. Episode 88 in the books. Until next time, y'all keep on striving.
Keep on keeping on. Yep.